The moment Kenzo Anders stepped out of his private jet, the hot sun slapped his face like it had been waiting for him. He looked around and smirked. "Home sweet trap," he muttered under his breath. He knew one thing for sure. If he wasn't smart, they would roast and chew him like street suya. Everyone here had one plan or the other for a rich bachelor like him, and he wasn't ready to be anyone's prey. "I must marry from home. That's what Mama and Papa wanted," he whispered to himself as he dragged his designer bag, wearing sunglasses worth someone's rent for a year. But how on earth do I find a good wife in a place where everyone is acting like audition day for desperate housewives? As he walked toward the parking lot, it began, the show. Some ladies, dressed like they were heading to a nightclub in broad daylight, suddenly appeared out of nowhere. One bent to pick a coin that didn't even fall. Another started laughing at a joke nobody told. One waved as if they knew him from church. Kenzo squinted at them, lips curling into a half smile. Wow, it's a circus already. Should I clap? He didn't stop. He didn't slow down. He just kept walking like a man on a mission. Because he was. "I'm not a fish in the river, madam. Try harder," he muttered as one lady almost tripped herself trying to wink. He gave them a friendly smile, not the type that invites, but the one that says, "You've tried. Now move along." He entered his sleek black car, shut the door with one smooth pull, and zoomed off. They were still waving. He was already gone. Kenzo hadn't even reached his family house when his hometown had already entered full competition mode. News flew faster than thunder. The abroad-based Anders has sent his son home to pick a wife. That one sentence was enough to scatter peace. The streets began to buzz like a broken speaker. Mothers turned into prayer warriors overnight. "God, let him choose my daughter. Even if it's by mistake, let the mistake favor us." One shouted during morning devotion, eyes closed, hand firmly on her daughter's head. Another woman wiped her sweaty forehead and screamed to her neighbors, "Do you know what this means? My grandchildren will be born abroad, with accent. Not this local anti-good morning children we are raising here." Girls who used to walk like broken rotes suddenly learned how to catwalk overnight. If you didn't know better, you'd think a modeling show was holding in every street. And trousers? Even strict mothers who used to shout, "No daughter of mine will ever wear trousers," changed tune like gospel to hip-hop. They bought tight jeans and crop tops for their daughters and said, "My dear, wear this one now. It's for your future. Don't argue. I'm your mother." One girl was caught adjusting her top for the 100th time. Her mother hissed and shouted, "Your mates are out there using their God-given gift, big buttocks, big breast, fine shape. To catch a big fish, you are here wearing maternity gown and forming Mother Mary. If you miss this chance, don't come back crying to me, because you would be disowned immediately." Some mothers even borrowed Brazilian hair on credit for their daughters. One woman, while gluing the wig on her child's head, whispered, "I bought this hair on credit. Don't disgrace me. If you come back home empty-handed, just know you are motherless." Yes, it was that serious. Every house had one goal. Package your daughter? Shoot your shot. Kenzo Anders had no idea he had just become the National Husband Project. While the whole town boiled like a pot of madness, with mothers shouting and daughters catwalking as if the runway was inside their compound, one house remained calm, too calm. No drama, no borrowed Brazilian wig, no holy oil sprinkled at crossroads. Nothing. That house belonged to Madame Amelia. She didn't need to run from frying pan to fire like the rest. No need to scream her lungs out or chase shadows in the street. She sat in her living room, legs crossed, sipping her wine like a woman who already owned the winning lottery ticket. Because in her mind, she did. She had Sienna, her only daughter, her jackpot. That's what she called her, and she meant it. Not out of love, but because she believed the girl was her personal investment, a golden egg waiting to hatch riches. Sienna was drop-dead gorgeous, the kind of beauty that made people whisper and turn twice. Long lashes, skin like honey, legs like runway dreams. Madame Amelia had spent fortunes grooming her. Best schools, best clothes, makeup lessons, etiquette training, even how to laugh softly at jokes that weren't funny. "Shine your eyes," Madame Amelia would whisper like a prophetess. "I didn't waste all this money on you, so you'll bring me one broke church boy as a husband. God forbid." She had only one mission for her daughter: target the rich. Marry up, secure the bag. "Don't go and bring a liability to my house," she warned Sienna daily. "Enter into the lives of prominent men's children. Make them fall. Be wise." So Sienna grew up spoiled, sharp, and full of herself. Everything she wanted, she got. If she didn't get it, she threw a tantrum that would shake heaven and earth. She looked at other girls like peasants and walked like the crown already sat on her head. While other girls were scrambling for Kenzo's attention, Sienna didn't bother. She just smiled in the mirror and said, "He'll come to me. They always do." And her mother? She leaned back and smiled. "Let the villagers dance. My daughter is the music." Meanwhile, inside the same house where Madame Amelia sat like a queen and Sienna walked like royalty, there lived Zara, the ghost nobody saw but everyone used. Zara had no one. Her mother had died the day she was born. Her father, old and fragile, held on for 10 more years before life silently took him too. When he died, Zara was left with only a small box of old clothes and big eyes full of confusion. Madame Amelia had shown up at the funeral with a bright smile and sweet words. "I'll take her," she said, resting a hand on Zara's tiny shoulder. "She'll be like my own daughter." People clapped and praised her. "God will bless you, madam. You have a golden heart." The day Zara moved into that grand house, she felt hopeful. The house was big. Sienna was close to her age, just 2 years older, and Madame Amelia had said she'd treat her like her own. But fairy tales end quickly in the wrong hands. Before Zara could settle down, Madame Amelia made her first royal announcement. The maid has to go. And just like that, the maid who had been with the family for years was shown the door. The reason? "Zara can help now," Amelia said with a smile. From that moment on, Zara's title changed from adopted daughter to full-time unpaid maid. At 12, Sienna was already being pampered like a blooming queen. Her job was to sit pretty, polish her nails, and practice how to walk like a billionaire's wife. At 10, Zara was waking up before the rooster, washing toilets, scrubbing floors, cooking meals she wouldn't eat, and cleaning clothes she couldn't wear. As Sienna grew in beauty, Zara grew in scars, hidden ones, the type you don't see on the body, but on the soul. Madame Amelia made sure life was soft for her daughter, but hard like concrete for Zara. Sometimes Amelia would call her over and say sweetly, "Zara, pray very well. I want Sienna to marry into wealth. When she does, you'll follow her as chief maid. Won't that be nice?" Then she would laugh and walk away. And when Sienna's marriage season came, like now, Zara's suffering increased. 3-day fasting declared for her, but not for herself, to pray for Sienna to marry well. No food, no rest, no mercy. But her chores, they must be done to perfection. If she missed a spot on the floor, she would be reminded, "You're not here to relax. You're here to serve." In this season too, Zara fasts, scrubs, cleans up, and prays for someone else's happy ending. And as she looks at Sienna trying on royal gowns and expensive shoes, all she sees is what her life could have been, but never was. Madame Amelia was not just waiting for Kenzo to knock at her gate. No, Madame Amelia was not an average schemer. She was a strategist. And tonight, she was going in for the kill. She had studied Kenzo's movement like a detective. She knew what time he stepped out, which route he took, and even how many times he stopped to greet people. According to a reliable source, every Tuesday evening, Kenzo Anders took a peaceful walk to stretch his legs and maybe clear his billionaire mind. And Amelia? She was ready to interrupt that peace. That Tuesday evening, she stood proudly in her living room, arms folded like a general inspecting her soldiers. Sienna, get up. Today I'm taking you to the battlefield myself. If Kenzo won't come to the mountain, then the mountain must slay in heels and meet him on the road. She hissed as she remembered her failed attempts to see him. Imagine me, Madame Amelia, standing at his gate like a beggar, and the gateman saying, "Sorry, Ma, the boss said this gate is for insiders only." Let's see if he'll chase me away today. Sienna appeared in the living room moments later, gliding like a peacock in silk. Hair laid, lips glossy, heels sharp enough to injure the air. She looked like she was ready to walk into a prince's heart and take his surname. Behind her came Zara, dressed in a brown, worn-out maid uniform, holding a bottle of cold water and a pair of flat slippers. She walked 2 steps behind Sienna like a silent shadow. No makeup, no gloss, no perfume, just tired eyes and a flat stomach, because she hadn't eaten since morning. Another fasting day, another sacrifice for Sienna's glory. Kenzo must propose to Sienna today, her prayer point. Madame Amelia clapped her hands in excitement. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. Let's go for an evening walk. After all, that's what rich people do. Today, we are not just walking, we're catching a billionaire. Outside, the road buzzed with people minding their business. But the moment Sienna stepped out, heads began to turn. Mothers elbowed their daughters. See that girl? That's how to dress if you want to marry rich, not all this nonsense you're wearing. Zara walked behind them like a forgotten ghost, holding the water like it was holy oil. Just in case Madame Sienna's delicate feet cried from all the stress of wearing heels, the maid was ready with her slippers and her silence. And somewhere down the road, like destiny clocking in for duty, Kenzo was taking his walk. And this time, he would not walk past without drama. Madame Amelia's heels clacked confidently on the pavement as they turned into the lane where Kenzo usually walked. Her eyes scanned the street like a hawk searching for prey. Then, there he was, tall, calm, walking with quiet pride like someone who knew his worth and didn't need to explain it to anybody. Kenzo Anders strolled down the path in his evening wear, earphones in, lost in his thoughts. Amelia's heart skipped. That's him! Sienna, smile! I said smile! And for heaven's sake, stop walking like you're on punishment. Sienna flipped her hair dramatically and adjusted her outfit. Behind them, Zara trudged along silently, head bowed, bottle of water in one hand, slippers in the other. As Kenzo drew closer, Amelia stepped forward like a stage actress. With the sweetest, most pretentious voice she could find, she said, "Good evening, Mr. Kenzo Anders. What an honor to finally meet you in person. My name is Madame Amelia. This," she gestured like she was unveiling treasure, "is my daughter, Sienna. A true queen, raised with grace, class, and vision." Kenzo paused, pulling out his earphones. He gave a polite nod. "Good evening." Amelia chuckled nervously. "We were just taking a walk, like you usually do every Tuesday. Imagine that. Coincidence or divine connection?" She didn't wait for a reply before continuing. "You see, I've heard so much about you. My daughter here, she's just returned from a leadership retreat. Very respectful, very cultured. She's not like the ones on the street fighting to catch attention. No, no. She was raised for royalty, for someone like you." Kenzo's eyes shifted briefly to Sienna, who gave a stiff smile. But just as quickly, his gaze flicked past her to Zara. Zara, who was now awkwardly looking at the ground, praying she would disappear into it. Kenzo tilted his head. He stepped slightly forward and said softly, "Hello. You must be her maid?" Zara's lips parted, unsure whether to answer. Before she could speak, Amelia jumped in with an eager nod. "Yes, yes. That's our Zara. Very loyal, very humble. She's been with us for years. You know, someone must help the queen stay comfortable, right?" Kenzo nodded slowly. But his eyes didn't leave Zara. He studied her. The simplicity, the humility, the tired eyes that still carried a strange kind of strength. There was something about her. Something real. Amelia followed his gaze. She saw it. That silent pause, that curious look. She knew it. She knew that look. And it scared her back home, felt like walking barefoot on broken bottles, silent, painful, and dangerous. Zara could feel Madame Amelia's eyes burning holes through her back with every step. Sienna was walking ahead, her footsteps fast and angry, as if her heels were doing revenge on the ground. The moment they stepped into the compound and the gate slammed shut, Madame Amelia turned like a storm. "Zara!" she barked. Zara froze. "Come here. I need you to answer every single question I'm about to ask. Don't blink. Don't stutter. Don't you dare waste my time." Zara's lips trembled. Her hands were wet with sweat. "Why did Kenzo look at you? More than once?" Amelia's voice was rising. "Why did he smile while talking to you? And why did he give you that one special look, that look that speaks louder than 1,000 words?" Zara's heart thumped like a drum in a horror movie. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out, not even a whisper. Then suddenly, slap! Sienna stepped forward and slapped her so hard Zara nearly lost her balance. You you dare try to steal my spotlight?" Sienna snapped. "That's my husband-to-be you're catching eyes with. What are you trying to do? Seduce him with your poverty?" Zara held her cheek, blinking back tears. "Relax," Sienna hissed. "Maybe he's just considering you for the job of his new maid. That's the only level you fit into." Madame Amelia burst into laughter, that wicked, mocking laugh that always made Zara's stomach turn. "Yes, now!" Amelia added, clapping sarcastically. "Maybe you were created to scrub the palace floors. At least if you enter Kenzo's house as a maid, you can say you know royalty too." Zara said nothing. But far away in Kenzo's mansion that same night, Kenzo stood on his balcony, a soft breeze blowing through his silk shirt. He turned to his most trusted guard and said, "I want everything about her. That maid, her full name, how she got into that house, what kind of life she lives. Everything." The guard raised a brow. "Zara?" Kenzo nodded slowly. "Yes, there's something about her, and I need to know what it is." By the next morning, while Zara was already scrubbing the kitchen floor on an empty stomach, far away, in a black SUV parked near the market, Kenzo's guard, Marco, sat with a small notepad and a face that meant business. He had already spoken to 3 people: an old fruit seller, a former classmate of Sienna's, and a mechanic who lived near Madame Amelia's house. One thing was becoming very clear. Zara wasn't just a maid. She was a prisoner in fine disguise. Back in the house, Zara was almost done with the chores when Madame Amelia's voice echoed again. "Zara, finish up and go to the tailor shop to pick up Sienna's new gown. If you delay, don't bother coming back." Zara dropped the mop, wiped her hands, and rushed off in her usual worn-out slippers. Just as she stepped outside the compound, a tall man in a clean white shirt approached her. "Marco." "Hello," he said kindly. "You're Zara, right?" Zara paused, surprised anyone would call her by name with a smile. "Yes. Who are you? Don't be scared. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just curious about you. I've heard you've been living with Madame Amelia for a long time." Zara looked around, confused and scared. "Please, I need to run an errand," she said, stepping away. Marco quickly added, "Someone important wants to know your story. That's all. Nothing bad, I promise." She paused, her eyes filled with questions, but no voice to ask them. "If you ever need help," he whispered, slipping a small card into her pocket, "just hold on to this." Zara didn't know what to believe. She tucked it away quickly, looked behind her to be sure no one saw, and hurried off. Later that evening, in Kenzo's mansion, Marco returned with a folder. "She's not their daughter," he began. Kenzo raised a brow. "She's an orphan. Her mother died giving birth to her. Her father died when she was 10. Emilia took her in and turned her into a housemaid. No school, no love, no pay, no future." Kenzo leaned back on the sofa, rubbing his chin. "So she's trapped," Marco nodded. "That girl's life is a silent prison." Kenzo stood up slowly and walked to the window, watching the city lights blink in the distance. "Not for long." he muttered. Not for long. Zara's heart was thumping like a loud drum as she approached the house, holding the nylon bag with the gown in one hand and fear in the other. But the moment she saw Madame Amelia standing by the gate, arms folded like a soldier on duty, she knew trouble had already clocked in. As soon as Zara stepped into the compound, Madame Amelia's sharp voice cut the air. "Who gave you a card?" Zara froze. "Ma, I don't know," she stammered, her hands trembling, eyes wide. "You don't know?" Amelia echoed, stepping closer like a lion ready to pounce. "You don't know who gave you the card and you collected it? You think I'm stupid?" Zara was shaking now, voice barely a whisper. "He forced it into my hand." Amelia snatched the card from her pocket with so much anger, the nylon bag fell to the ground. She looked at the name on the card and let out a long, dry laugh, the kind that says, "I can't believe this nonsense." "Oh, so it's Kenzo?" she cackled, staring Zara down. "The same Kenzo that young ladies in this town are walking like peacocks to impress. The one girls are fasting and wearing padded bras to catch." She stepped even closer, voice now sharp with mockery. "It's you he was now jumping on like overripe pawpaw? You, Zara? If your late parents ever used charm to hide something in your face, I promise you today, I must wash it off." She spat to the side and turned away angrily. "That international billionaire, that walking ATM, that royal blood, is for my daughter, not for some unfortunate housemaid that entered my house with nothing but dust and a mosquito bite." There was a long silence. Zara stood there, still trembling, eyes to the floor, hands clutching her skirt like it could protect her from fate. Then Amelia suddenly spoke again, her voice sugar-sweet and fake. "Get ready." Zara looked up, confused. "I'll surely find a fine husband for you, one that matches your level. Yes, by the time I am done, you will become madam." She gave a wicked grin and turned her back, walking into the house like a queen who just declared war. Zara stood alone by the gate, tears streaming down her face, gown soaked in dust, and her heart broken into silence. The next day, suddenly a small car pulled up and parked right in front of Madame Amelia's gate. It wasn't fancy, not the kind that turns necks, but it looked clean and intentional. "Knock, knock, knock!" The gate shook lightly under the knuckle of a man dressed in a simple shirt and black trousers. His smile was calm, respectful, too polite for the chaos that lived inside the compound. Sienna stepped out first, dragging her legs like a queen disturbed from beauty sleep. "Yes? What do you want?" she asked, eyes rolling before the man even replied. "Good afternoon. Please, I would like to speak with Madame Amelia," the man said with a cheerful smile. Sienna hissed and folded her arms. "For what? Is she owing you, or are you here to donate something useless?" Just then, Madame Amelia stepped out, adjusting her wrapper and fake smile like a politician running for re-election. "Ah, good afternoon. What can I do for you?" she asked, eyes scanning the car suspiciously. The man smiled, lowering his voice a bit. "We've heard of how well you raised your daughter, so well, in fact, that my friend here," he pointed to the car, "is looking for a homemade wife, and we thought of you." Before Amelia could reply, the car door opened and a man stepped out, leaning on two crutches with a face cap. He had gentle eyes and a quiet smile that seemed to say, "I may not walk well, but I know what I want." Sienna's nose wrinkled immediately. "Mom, did you hear that insult?" she whispered with disgust. "A cripple? Is this a skit or reality?" But Amelia burst into laughter like she just heard a joke from heaven. "Ah, you people are God-sent. Perfect timing. Please, when do you want to take her away from here?" The man with the crutches smiled calmly and turned toward Sienna. "So, you have agreed to marry me?" he asked gently. Sienna stepped back like someone who saw a ghost. "God forbid, bad thing. Even my shadow rejects this offer." Amelia quickly frowned. "No, no, no. Not this one. This one is already engaged to Kenzo Anders, the billionaire, yes. But I have another girl in the house. She grew under my roof. Beautiful, humble, useful. You will like her. Don't worry, you can even marry her quietly. No stress. Exchanged looks. We would love to see her, the friend said. Zara! Amelia's voice rang through the compound like a church bell during wartime. Zara came out, wiping her hands on her skirt, eyes curious and cautious. Ma, you called me? Yes. Amelia grinned, grabbing her by the shoulder and pushing her forward. Here she is, your wife, your helper, your everything. Zara's eyes widened as her heart dropped. Wait, what? Marriage? But no one was listening to her. The crippled man smiled warmly and nodded. She's even more beautiful than described. Before they could say more, Amelia shouted, It is done! Glory be to God, and broke into a clumsy dance step. Zara, start packing your things. These men came prepared. Clear way for my daughter. Your own car has arrived. Don't dull me. Zara stood frozen, looking at the men, looking at Amelia, looking at her future vanishing. And so the unwanted marriage arrangement began, right at the gate of no mercy. The compound was still settling after the guests left, their dust barely clearing the air, when Madame Amelia walked briskly inside, a wide smile plastered on her face. She couldn't wait any longer. It was time to seal the future. She picked up her phone and dialed Kenzo's number. She got the number from the card she seized from Zara. The phone rang once, twice. Then Kenzo answered. Hello? His calm voice came through. Amelia's tone turned honey-sweet. Ah, my handsome son-in-law. Finally, your mother-in-law is reaching out. I was wondering, when will you be coming for dinner in my house? You and Sienna need to bond well. It will help you two understand each other more, heart to heart. There was a pause. Kenzo cleared his throat and responded calmly. With due respect, Ma, I have never proposed to your daughter Sienna. Amelia froze. In fact, Kenzo continued, his voice composed, I would appreciate it if you allow me to make my own decisions. And while at it, please stop broadcasting false information about me. The line went dead silent. Amelia blinked, confused. She quickly adjusted her tone and fake laugh. Ah, I only called to inform you that my maid Zara is getting married in 2 weeks. Just a minor thing. There was a short silence on Kenzo's end. Then came a low smile through his voice. Wow, that's good news. Do you want me to attend? Attend? Amelia scoffed, forcing a dry laugh. No, don't insult yourself. She's just a maid. She doesn't deserve such honor. It's just one of those small things. You shouldn't bother. Kenzo hummed thoughtfully. All right then. Noted. As the call ended, Amelia slowly dropped her phone, her smile now gone. 2 weeks later, the sun rose slowly on the quiet street that morning. Madame Amelia's compound was a bit busy, not with celebration, but with small murmurs and skeptical faces. She had spent part of the money sent by the crippled man to put together a modest setting. 2 rented chairs with ribbons, biscuits, and malt on plastic tables, and a speaker humming soft old love songs. Zara stood silently near the center, dressed in a simple gown Amelia gave her. Her hair was packed backward, no makeup, no jewelry. Her eyes scanned the quiet faces with no excitement, only questions and deep silence. Her heart was unsure. Just then, 2 small cars pulled in. From the first car, a man in black jeans, a black hoodie, face mask, and dark sunglasses stepped out, supported by 2 crutches. From the second car, 4 simply dressed men stepped down and walked beside him like loyal assistants. The compound went cold. Whispers erupted. Now who be this? Is this the husband? Ha! Zara Dawn enter one chance. As the man limped closer, people cleared the way. Zara didn't blink, her eyes fixed on the man who approached her slowly. He stopped in front of her, breathing heavily. I'm sorry I can't kneel, he said softly. It would ache my legs. But please. He pulled out a shining diamond ring from his pocket. Marry me. Zara's lips trembled, tears welled in her eyes. She glanced at Amelia, who waved with a mocking smile, and Sienna, who rolled her eyes, arms folded. Then Zara looked back at the man and whispered, Yes, I will marry you, and I'll learn to love you. I know what it means to serve. I will serve you. People laughed. Sienna clapped mockingly. Carry go, newest couple in town, Madam Maid and Oga Cripple. Someone at the back murmured, Weddin' be this? Wedding of pity. Madam Amelia shouted, grinning, Go with her, you have my blessings. After all, she was made for a man like you. Then it happened. The groom suddenly paused. He removed his face mask slowly. He took off his dark glasses. He pulled away his hoodie jacket. Then, right there in front of everyone, he dropped the crutches. He stood straight, tall, strong, confident, and he smiled deeply. I finally married the love of my life. The whole compound froze. Gasps filled the air. Is that Kenzo? Kenzo Anders? Madame Amelia's mouth fell open. Sienna nearly collapsed. No, no, no. This can't be happening, she shrieked. You were crippled. What is this? Kenzo turned to them with a calm smile. Sometimes we pretend to be broken to see people's true hearts. And I found the only heart that stayed whole even when everything around her was shattered. Zara covered her mouth in shock. Kenzo stepped closer. Yes, I'm your husband, and I came in disguise to find truth, to marry you. Madame Amelia suddenly fainted. Sienna screamed, No! The four simple men clapped gently. The compound was filled with both tears and silence. Zara cried, but this time it was joy. She wasn't just a maid. She wasn't just serving. She had just married love. And love was Kenzo Anders. But Sienna, trembling with rage and disbelief, charged toward Zara like a storm. Her high heels clicked violently on the tiled floor as she pointed an accusing finger. You can't leave this place with him, she screamed, her voice echoing in the stunned compound. He is for me, not you. You were meant to serve me, not steal my destiny. Zara stood frozen, her tears still wet on her cheeks. Kenzo instinctively stepped in front of her, shielding her. But Sienna wasn't done. She stomped closer and shouted, It's either he marries both of us or none of us is getting married today. Gasps rippled through the small crowd. Polygamy key? Someone whispered. This girl Don Luz am, another muttered. Kenzo's face went blank. No smile, no frown, just cold silence. He raised a single hand, halting the drama, and looked Sienna straight in the eyes. You don't force love, he said firmly. And you don't compete with your shadow. What I saw in Zara, I never saw in you. Sienna's chest rose and fell fast as her lips quivered. But I'm beautiful. I'm elegant. I wear heels, makeup, perfume. She's just a maid. Kenzo turned slightly, gently placing his hand on Zara's shoulder. She is a queen in disguise. And you were a crown with no kingdom. Madame Amelia, just regaining herself, tried to calm Sienna. Baby girl, please don't embarrass me more than you already have. Sienna shook her head violently, then screamed, I hate you, Zara! I hate you! Zara flinched but held her tears back. Kenzo, still protective, said one final thing before turning toward the car. You dressed Zara like a maid with slippers, but today I'll place diamonds on her feet. Goodbye, Amelia. Goodbye, Sienna. Zara turned slightly, looked back one last time, and whispered softly to herself, I forgive you. The small car doors closed. As the engine started and pulled out of the compound, Sienna dropped to her knees, wailing, No, no, he was mine, he was mine. Madame Amelia, feeling the shame of everything, turned away from the gathering and whispered, God, what have I done? But it was too late. Zara had gone from maid to queen. As the cars pulled into the grand, beautifully decorated hotel, Zara's eyes widened. She looked around in shock. The place sparkled like a royal palace. Red carpet, flower archway, golden balloons spelling Welcome Zara. A live band played soft romantic jazz in the background. Zara turned to her new husband, confused. Where are we? She whispered. Kenzo smiled and said, Home, love, for the next few days. Suddenly, the hotel doors flung open, and his friends burst out, clapping and shouting. Kenzo! Who turns his wedding into a prank show? One of the guys screamed. They all laughed hard, holding their stomachs. Bro, you really came in with crutches, hoodie, and a funeral face. You didn't just act poor, you acted paralyzed. Another said, This man didn't disguise, he Oscar awarded himself. The others joined in teasing. Kenzo, even Netflix would reject that script for being too dramatic. Are you sure you're not a Nollywood agent? Zara, did you know he also made us swear to pretend we didn't know him? We couldn't even say hi during the wedding. Zara stood there frozen, still processing everything. You're Kenzo. Kenzo Anders? The billionaire? She asked again. He gently held her hands. Yes, but today I'm just your husband. I had to strip myself of everything just to know if someone could love me for me. And you, Zara, you didn't just say yes to a man with nothing. You said yes and promised to serve him. Just then, one of the friends pulled out a mic. Ladies and gentlemen, raise your glasses, because for the first time in history, a billionaire disguised as a beggar and got rejected by an entire town but loved by one maid. They all raised their glasses. To Zara, the woman who saw the man before the money. The crowd cheered. Zara was still crying, tears of joy, shock, and deep gratitude. And in that moment, she knew her service had found her favor. 2 months after tripping around the world, Kenzo gently drove Zara back into the grand mansion. The gates swung open, and the staff lined up like royalty had arrived. But instead of stepping out all serious and stiff like most billionaire couples, Kenzo opened the door, took Zara's hand, and whispered, "Ready to turn this mansion into a playground?" Zara smiled wide. Always. Zara's life flipped like a fairy tale, from scrubbing floors to walking on marble tiles. Kenzo's mansion was like a kingdom pulled out of a movie. Fountains danced in the courtyard, chandeliers sparkled above her head, and the fragrance of roses floated in the air. But the most beautiful thing was the laughter that echoed through the house. Kenzo didn't just give her luxury, he gave her joy. From that day, the mansion echoed with laughter louder than any music. Kenzo and Zara didn't live like a typical rich couple. They ran around like overgrown kids in love. They played hide and seek in the long hallways, giggling behind velvet curtains while the maids peeked in shock. "Did Madam just hide behind the sofa?" one whispered. "And Sir crawled under the dining table," another muttered. "Are they okay?" "They're in love. Leave them." Martha, the head maid, said, smiling knowingly. Every now and then, Zara would burst out laughing during breakfast. "What is it?" Kenzo would ask. She'd shake her head and say, "I still can't believe you fooled me with those crutches." Kenzo would grin. "It was either that or let your madam throw me out and still chase after me to catch me for her daughter to betwitch." And they'd both laugh till tears rolled down. Then Kenzo, recalling the wedding, chuckled, "Do you remember the look on your face when I stood up from those crutches?" Zara hit him playfully. "I almost fainted. I was about to scream, 'Jesus has healed him.'" They both burst into laughter. "You're lucky I didn't call the pastor for deliverance," she added. "I'm lucky you didn't slap me for fooling you," he replied. The maids, watching from a distance, whispered among themselves, "These two? They're more in love than Romeo and Juliet." Except Romeo didn't have a helicopter parked outside. Evenings were spent in the garden under fairy lights, eating popcorn and dancing barefoot to old-school music. They'd often reenact the wedding day like a comedy skit, complete with Kenzo's fake limp and Zara's shocked face. It wasn't just a mansion anymore. It was their wonderland, filled with games, giggles, memories, and pure love. Zara, once a maid, was now a queen living her fairy tale. And Kenzo? He was the king who still wore sneakers, just to chase her around the house. Hello, besties. What a journey, from slippers to diamonds, right? Moral lessons. Number 1, never look down on anyone. You never know who they truly are. Number 2, humility and service may look ordinary, but they attract uncommon favor. Number 3, real love sees beyond titles, beauty, and status. Number 4, whatever is yours will find you, no matter who tries to block it. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. Drop your thoughts and your favorite lesson in the comment section. And don't forget to comment in your language too, bestie. I want to hear from you. I love you all so much, and I'm super proud of you for always coming back. God bless you abundantly. Until next time, bye, besties.